Hello guys, what's up? Welcome to the new tutorial from the SketchUp Studio. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create some exterior realistic rendering with this type of classic facade design. So I'm going to minimize the Camtasia in here, and this is the ENSCAPE environment. And this is only one facet and face in this place, and back of it is completely empty. So as you can see, we have this place in here and we have this street in here. So I'm going to add some new objects and assets to my environment. After that, I'm going to render this job for myself. So I'm going to start my job with the asset library in this place, and I'm going to change the category to the vehicles. So after that, I'm going to use the multi-asset placement in here and use the rectangle selection. So as you can see, now we have some type of aim in here, and you can see it in the environment. So I'm going to add some cars in this face, and I'm going to extrude it a little bit in here and here. So I'm going to reduce the width of it near to the street's width, something like that. As you can see, very simple. And I'm going to select some of these cars in here, but actually they don't have any complete and right direction. So you can change the distribution to the uniform, and as you can see the changes in here. So for example, random or jitter or uniform. So you can create these type of cars in here very simple and easy, but we don't need it right now. I only want to say that you can use multi-asset placement. So I'm going to uncheck it in here, click on the single asset placement, and click on one of these cars in here and add it to my environment and apply changes. So as you can see, it takes a little bit of time, and after that you can see this car in here. So I'm going to click on the rotate option and rotate it a little bit in here and move it to someplace far than the camera, someplace like that, and apply changes. So when I click on the F on my keyboard and press scene number 1 in here and change the projection from perspective to the 2-point perspective, I can see this car in here, and it's really wonderful. So when I click on the visual setting, I can see the field of view, and if you want to see all the car, you can increase the field of view like that, and final result is something like this. So some number about 51 is really good for this render. So I'm going to minimize the ENSCAPE, move into the SketchUp environment, click on this car in here, and move it a little bit inside the camera. As you can see, it takes a little bit of time, and after that, you can see the final result in here. So I need another copy rotation like that, and move it to another side of the house in here, as you can see. So I can move it a little bit on the green axis, something like that, to fill the environment with HDRI. So everything is done for me right now. I only want to add some trees in my environment. So for this reason, I'm going to change it to the perspective to can move easily inside my environment like that. And now I'm going to click on the asset library again and click on the trees and vegetation. So I only need some trees for myself in here, and actually I think something like the autumn colors is really wonderful. So I'm gonna check the autumn color. We only have 102 objects and assets related to the autumn, so you can select most of them very simple and easy. For example, this type of trees is really wonderful in here and here, another one in this place, and another one in here. So I'm going to click on the apply changes to see what happened in my 3D environment. It takes a little bit time because it's usually work with the network, and it depends on your network system speed. So I'm going to click on the retreat some time, and the result is like that. So I'm going to press F. I'm going to click on the scene number 1, change it to the 2-point perspective, and now we have this type of render in here. So I have some problem with these trees position. So I'm going to click on the asset library, select these three in here, and move it near to my camera, like that. And this one too. So I'm going to click on the apply changes, and as you can see, now we have this scene in here, and it's really wonderful. So I'm going to minimize the ENSCAPE, and I have some work with these trees in here, so I'm going to move them a little bit to the left side, something like that, and this one a little bit on the red axis, something like this, and I can move it a little bit on the blue axis, as you can see, something like that. So it's really nice and wonderful for the beginners, and you can use the ENSCAPE for your simple projects. So I'm gonna move it on here. So everything is done for me right now. I'm gonna render this job, but I have some works with the save frame and visual setting. So I'm gonna click on the visual setting, and I want to turn off the auto exposure to see what happens. As you can see, your screen will burn and you must set exposure manually. So some number about 38% is really wonderful. Field of view is good, so I'm going to turn on the depth of field and play with the focal point to reach to the best result. For my render, I need this edge in here, so 45.78 meter is really good, and depth of field is some number about 14%. So if you want to see more blurriness in this environment, for example these HDRI trees and cars, you can increase the depth of field much more than the past, and this is the final result that you can see in here. So it completely depends on you and your project employer. So 34% is really good for it. So I'm going to click on the image bar in here and turn on the auto contrast and main bar. So I'm going to increase the rendering quality to the high mode to see all of the details at the same time for my final render and shot. So I'm going to click on the image bar. When I increase the saturation, you can see more red and yellow color channel in here, and it's totally not realistic. So I prefer to reduce the color temperature beside the saturation. If you want more vibrance on your colors, you can decrease the color temperature or increase saturation a little bit. So be careful about this point in here. Motion blur is 0 and lens flare is totally not important in here. So I'm going to turn off the lens flare. Vignette is some number about 8 and chromatic is 0. So everything is good for me right now. I'm going to click on the atmosphere, wind is 0, and sun brightness. One of the important elements related to the sun brightness. As you can see, when I decrease the sun brightness, all of the lights will decrease in my environment and we have some render like this. So it's not really good if I want to tell the truth. So 76% is good right now. So I'm going to click on the night sky brightness is 0. Shadow sharpness is really not important. You can decrease it to the 29%. And artificial light brightness totally not important, and ambient is not important because we don't have any interior design details in this render. So it's about 46 and fog is completely 0. So final box is the skybox. As you can see, density is 41 and we have some a little bit overcast clouds in here. So I'm going to decrease the density to the 0 and variety to the 0 and size amount to the 0. Now we have some clear sky in here and it's really good for my job. So I'm going to click on the image bar. Saturation can be increased a little bit, some number about 108, and color temperature is about 6000 Kelvin. Always set these two parameters at the final, because when you do your rendering settings, some type of parameters will completely change and destroy your render. So I'm going to close it, minimize it, click on this tree in here and move it a little bit on the blue axis. A little bit, something about 1 meter. As you can see, now it's much better. and I can move it a little bit on the green axis, something like that. So I'm going to click on the visual setting, sky, my source is white cubes. I can change it to the urban or town and click on the rotation to see what happened. As you can see, we can see these HDRIs in the real environment, and it's really wonderful. So look at these background in here. When I click on the rotation and move my job, I can see more buildings near to my building and my architectural environment. So 44-degree is really good, or I can move this big building HDRI near to my horizon line, something like that. 53-degree is good. So I'm going to click on the F, scene number 1. Everything is good, and time for the rendering. So I'm going to minimize it in here, and I can add some another objects and assets like the people. So it completely depends on you, but I prefer to use some low value of these things in here. So for this job, I'm going to click on the asset library, as you can see in here, and click on the multi-asset placement, select the people like that, and I'm going to select the paint selection. And when I click on it, it takes a little bit of time, and after that you can see the final result in here. You can decrease the density a little bit to see more realistic results, something like that, and click on the confirm placement and apply changes. It takes a little bit time, and after that you can see the final result, very simple and easy. So as you can see, this is the final result in here. I really like it, so I'm going to click on the scene number 1, and I will render my job. So I'm going to click on the visual setting, rendering quality on the ultra mode, and I'm going to render my job. So I'm going to press Shift and F11 on my keyboard and click on the desktop and save it as the JPG and press save. So as you can see, this render may be not really realistic. We can work much better because the detail of this 3D model is really incredible, but it can be a good start for the starters and beginners or amateurs. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and this is the final result, and goodbye.